I had a mom call not long ago, and she's like, my son wants to withdraw. He's just been having a lot of mental health problems and academic problems. And I'm like, well, why? I mean, I know it's hard to ask for help, but, you know, that's what we're here for. I said, we have a whole support for him and any student on campus, you know. She was like, oh, there it is.
Their structure is gone. Nobody's now telling them to come in and start school at 8 o'clock in the morning and leave school at 2:30.
If you're not meeting that 67%, the government will also say, okay, they're not progressing. Why are they not progressing? So that's when you get the email from us that's saying, hey, you're on a warning for financial aid. And unfortunately, it's very easy to dig that hole, and it's very hard to get out of that hole.
Please come in. Just tell us what your problem is. We will find a way to help you.
Podcast recording of the Tuesday Talks Financial Literacy Series. I broke my leg in the spring, so I had to do my first one through Teams. I had to record it, so I'm excited to be in the studio. So this is working with student engagement to bring financial literacy education to campus. And I think a lot of people don't realize how much your finances, mental health, and academics go together. So I work in financial aid. I'm currently a financial aid counselor. I've been at Alfred State for 8 years now. I got my undergrad from Mansfield University in public relations, and then I just got my MBA from SUNY Empire State last year. And I'm working on a certified financial educators instructor course right now to get the credentialing to keep doing this for campus. So today's topic is what to do if you are struggling academically, and I have Casey here with me today from the Student Success Center. So thank you for joining me.
Absolutely, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, so I guess introduce like what your role is on campus, like if you want to share what degrees you have, why you got into higher education, anything like that.
Sure. I think that I'm really excited to be here, by the way. I think that far too many students don't understand the impact of how successful they are academically on their financial aid. So this will be an opportunity for us to kind of highlight some of those things and help them understand it better. I've been in Alfred State now for 17 years.
Just a while.
little while. 12 and a half years, 12 years in a full-time capacity. I did work as a basketball coach for the first part of it.
Okay.
And then I've worked in student success since that time for the last 12 plus years. Currently my title is the Assistant Director of Student Success, so that's brand new. You can see I've struggled with it. But we're really designed to support all academic areas for them. So we'll talk a little bit about that as we go along.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But my hope is that you can see all the services that we offer. Alfred State is committed to offering these services free to students, so we want to be able to get the word out there that there's a lot of help available.
Yeah, and I think that's the main thing we see is students just not asking for help. And it's a real community here. I mean, we can provide you with everything you could possibly think of.
Certainly can. It certainly can. And there's a lot of reasons for that hesitation in asking for help. But hopefully we'll talk about some of the avenues to get in, ask for help, you know, and just take advantage of what's available.
Yeah. So is Student Success part of the Center for Academic Resource and Excellence?
It is. Student Success is one of 4 components of the Center for Academic Resource and Excellence. Student Success offers all of our tutoring services. It includes our academic success coaches. It includes our writing center and math lab. We'll go into some detail as we go through all of those services, but that includes all support services. So if you have an academic goal that you are trying to achieve and struggling to achieve, we offer a support that can help you get better in those areas within Student Success. It also includes Academic Advising Center. Now, most of our advising happens within the department that this student is enrolled in. So if a business student in business administration, they'll have an advisor within the department. Somebody that's an expert in the field, somebody that has experience in the workforce, understands connections, understands the course material really well, and how they can prepare that student to go into a job and be job ready. That's Alfred State's motto, is we want students to be able to hit the ground running when they get to their job. But sometimes those advisors are busy.
Yeah.
They're teaching 5 classes, 6 classes on top of advising 30 or 40 students. And if you have a really quick question, it may be difficult to find time to connect with that advisor. The Academic Advising Center offers that support where they can answer questions and help you process paperwork. Maybe you're considering changing your major. They can talk to you about all the options of changing your major. They are also the ones that design our first semester, first year student schedules. So we are a pre-scheduling campus. We want to make sure that we put students in a position to be successful that first semester by having the right courses as well as courses that fit their interest. So they design that schedule before they get here in July orientation.
Yeah, that helps us a lot with financial aid, because what students don't realize is what you take in your major directly affects what aid you're eligible for.
Absolutely.
Because you can't be in like construction and then take like a nursing class.
Correct.
You can't do that.
I encourage students to explore interests within reason, right?
Yeah.
Each major has some flexibility in terms of the choices that they can make in class selection, but not everything. They can't take 2 astronomy classes and a physics class when they're a vet tech student. There's certain classes that they're restricted to, so it is an important aspect.
Yeah, I think it's important to note that online students have access to all these great services as well.
Absolutely.
So I know I work closely with Jeremy and Christine and Laura in admissions, so we've kind of made like this little online support staff team. So they have direct points of contact for advising in your office, me for financial aid, and Laura through the admissions process.
And we have increased our number of tutors for online students also.
Okay.
So that those predominantly online programs have tutors that will meet with you virtually through Teams or through another media where they can get some questions answered, help with study tips. So all of those things are embedded within our scheduling system where students can go on, see who's available, and get the help that they potentially need.
Yeah, I know when I did my grad program, there was like a 24/7 tutor service. Like, so you could talk to people on campus, you know, during the day, but you could also, I don't even remember what it was called, but you could log in and say, like, I'm struggling with this, and there'd be a ton of tutors available.
And we have explored some of those. The challenge at Alfred State is the uniqueness of our programs.
Right.
Is that because we're not a traditional liberal arts college, some of our programs have such specific content, it's difficult to have tutors that are versed or have experience in them.
Yeah.
So we focus on getting our tutors to have extended hours so that we have evening availability, late night availability, Saturday and Sunday availability, so that students can have access to. That may mean that they have to plan a little bit so that they sit down and try to do their homework at 1 o'clock in the morning. Unfortunately, we're not going to have somebody available at that time. But if you look at tomorrow morning, we'll probably have somebody available the next day. We also offer the Office of Accessibility. So there is a group of students that may have accommodative needs, where a student may have an IEP in high school or medical documentation of need. Those services are available on our campus also, so they can work with the Office of Accessibility and potentially get those services here.
Yeah, and definitely, we'll talk about this in a little bit, but the satisfactory academic progress with financial aid and grades, I think that's another big thing we see is students say, well, I had an IEP in high school, but I didn't think I needed it in college. And I'm like, no, please let us know if you need additional services.
Absolutely.
It's nothing to be ashamed of or anything like that, but we just want you to be successful as possible.
We try to encourage students to set up the accommodations early, even if you never use them. If you get to a point where you feel like I don't need them, then great.
That's good.
But we don't want to be in a situation where you say, I wish I would have, because then it may impact your financial aid.
Yeah, sometimes it's too late if you wait too long.
Absolutely.
So you definitely have to be proactive.
Absolutely. And then the last area within our Center for Academic Resource and Excellence is the EOP program. EOP is a financially based, academically at-risk program that is admissions and financial aid work together
Yep.
to determine eligibility. And then those students have dedicated counselors as well as supports, professional tutors that are embedded right within their program to help them be successful.
Yeah, in our office, Kate Meehan helps with EOP. So if you're an EOP student and need financial help, come see Kate.
Absolutely.
And I think the big question that we all had in our office is, what's the true difference between a success coach and an academic advisor?
Well, this is a common question across campus and even sometimes within our own office because there is some overlap.
Right.
Academic advisors will primarily focus on course selection, course changes, degree changes, and degree completion. Academic success coaches look at more skill-based need on how do you be successful in those courses. So we will answer questions about dropping a course, adding a course, what's the best thing for me to take in this free elective, but in many cases we'll defer to an advisor to have those questions.
Okay.
An advisor will reach out to a student who's struggling in a class and have conversations with them about why they're struggling in that class. So there is some overlap, but in general, academic advisors primarily focus on course selection, course removal, change of major, selection of major, adding a minor, anything that goes towards degree completion. And success coaches are designed to support success. So whatever barrier is in place, they talk to them about what that barrier is and how they can overcome that barrier to be successful.
Cool. I've always wondered.
Yeah. And trust me, we have some crazy stories that come into the office and they don't fit into either bucket.
Yeah.
But we're there to help whatever student walks in. I tell students at orientation, please come in. Just tell us what your problem is. We will find a way to help you. And that may not be in our office, but we'll walk you to an office where you can get help.
Yeah, and that's what we try to abide by too. I had a mom call not long ago and she's like, my son wants to withdraw. He's just been having a lot of mental health problems and academic problems. And I'm like, well, why? I mean, I know it's hard to ask for help, but you know, that's what we're here for. I said, we have a whole support for him and any student on campus, you know. She was like, oh, there it is. I was like, yes, there's so many people here.
I had a mother say to me just this week, where we were talking about her son who had missed a number of classes, and we were outreaching to him, and we were trying to tag team getting him into the office. And she said, you know, I heard you talk about this during orientation, but I honestly didn't know if you would follow through if everybody actually did these things.
Yeah.
And we do. We'll go to residence halls and track down a student. We will reach out to faculty and have a student come down to our office. We want to be able to intervene as quickly as possible.
Yeah, and it kind of leads into the next thing I want to ask. Has Starfish helped with that?
Oh man, I don't know if we could ever operate on this campus without Starfish anymore. And for those of you that don't know what Starfish is, it's a system on campus that allows faculty to identify if there are concerns with a student within a classroom. They can raise a flag and let us know, us being all of the people in support of that student. So a academic advisor, success coach, athletic coach, residence hall director, all of these people, we call them as part of their network, their success network. Those people are informed if a faculty member has a concern. But we can also make referrals for health and wellness or accessibility services or financial aid, or we want to get them connected with the food pantry or other resources on campus. It is a system that allows us to keep everybody informed, but also quickly refer students to resources and connect them with professionals that can help them. So I don't think that we can operate as efficiently without it.
Yeah, I know. I'm on there now as the online counselor with some office hours on Wednesdays, and the other counselors are on there as well. So if any faculty staff are listening in, you can raise flags to us and we can raise flags to you, like, oh, a student needs to do a financial aid requirement, otherwise they can't register for next semester. So don't be afraid to raise flags to us too.
Absolutely. And I think that the more information we have in the system, the more benefit there is for the student. Faculty having office hours in the system allows students to go in late night, schedule a meeting for the next day. They can look at all the, we have a raise your hand feature in Starfish where a student can ask for help. They can ask for financial assistance, they can ask for help in a course, they can ask for help getting connected on campus, they want to be part of a club or organization. All of that can happen right within Starfish.
Yeah, so if you're nervous to ask for help in person, that's a kind of a easy way to
another option.
Yeah, to not feel so nervous about asking for that.
Absolutely.
So that really helps you manage keeping track of everybody.
It does. We get a report. We can go in every day and see if there are any new students that have concerns or that have requested assistance. It sends email notifications on appointment reminders. It has a text message feature that can go to students and notify them that a person is looking to meet with them. So we try to keep it as user-friendly and impactful as possible. It's not Snapchat, right? Students still rely on Snapchat for communication. It's not Snapchat, but we try to make it as quick and easy as possible for students.
Yeah, so if a student either raises their hand or asks for help on Starfish or comes in, what can they expect as far as like intake process, like follow-up, like what can they expect when they come in for a meeting if they're struggling?
Generally, that first meeting starts with a success coach.
Okay.
And we're going to start by getting to know the student a little bit. We want to know what you've been going through. We want to know what you've tried, what's working, what's not working. In some cases, that student will come in and ask for a tutor for a specific class, but we want to know all of what's going on to make sure that we find the right tutor. We find if it's a professional tutor versus a peer tutor, what environment's the right environment for them. Maybe it's a study strategy we can help them adjust. It becomes a holistic assessment of what's going on with the student. And assessment sounds very formal, right? It sounds like, I'm going to the doctor's office and they have to do a bunch of tests. It's really just a conversation. We want to get to know the student as much as possible. We want to know what they're going through so that we can help them to the best of our ability. When they come in, they can tell us their story. Tell us what they're struggling with, tell us what they need help with, and then we'll talk about all the options. Talk about what they're willing to invest in, what they're willing to put their time into, and then see what we can do to follow up and help them polish it, right? Because in many cases, it takes a couple iterations, couple tries before it's perfect. I can tell you with personal experience, that first try generally doesn't work out for me. It takes a couple tries before I figure it out.
Yeah. Oh, what do we want to talk about next? I guess as far as like, I don't know if discharge is the right word, but like when a student's starting to feel better, like I'm sure it varies per student. Like, do some of them you keep checking in with? Do some come back, or do some just fix their problem and move on and that's it?
Well, this is interesting because I have some students that I work with that come in and see me every day. They'll check in with me in the morning and say, this is my schedule, this is what I'm working on. I act as a kind of an accountability person that they feel helps them stay on track. I'll meet with some people weekly, some bi-weekly, and some will just come in and see me whenever they feel like they need something or just want to touch base. I had a student already this year come in and say, hey, look at this test that I got a 90 on. I felt really good about it. They felt proud about it. They didn't need me. They didn't use any of the things that we were working on before. They were just proud about it. So our door is open. You'll see in our office hours, success coaches have office hours from generally 8 o'clock, 8:30-ish through 4:30, 5, 6:30, depending on what their availability is. But we don't block off just specific hours in the day. We're available whenever we're in the office. So we encourage students to just come in, and then once you're there, we'll come up with a plan that you feel comfortable with. do you want to come in and see me next week? Great. Hey, I want you to try this out. Do you want to come tell me how it works on Friday? That'd be great. So something that they feel comfortable with. Now others that may have struggled academically, right? Because we have some students that don't figure it out right away.
Yep.
I tell this story frequently. It took my sister 6 years to graduate with a 4-year degree. Sometimes it takes a little longer. Now, she's far more successful than I am now, but it takes, everybody's path is a little different.
Yeah.
So when they come in and they've struggled, then we want to help them make some changes immediately to getting into good academic standing.
Yeah.
Right? So if they were doing poorly on probation, maybe even were dismissed and have come back on campus, we want to help them get on track. So they're going to be asked to meet with us a certain number of times. But in those meetings, it's still about what works for them. We're not telling them these things have to happen. It's, let's talk about the things that we can do better that you're willing to change.
Yeah, I think you have to accept it's going to be trial and error too.
Absolutely.
Like, you just don't, if you're struggling, you're not going to know what's going to work for you right away.
And
necessarily.
So many high school students do not understand what it means to be a college student.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a high school teacher at one time. I didn't prepare students to be college students. I prepared students to get through my class, to pass a test at the end, right? High schools now, New York State high schools, because of the Regents testing, they're making sure that students are passing the Regents. And in many cases, that doesn't mean that they're preparing them for the volume of information that's required here at Alfred State.
I know, I remember getting reading assignments, and you're like, it's just a reading assignment, but it's like you have to read 5 chapters, and so you really have to learn. I had to learn how to skim really well and take really good notes, and because I was like a word for word reader, and I learned that you can't really do that in college. Like, you want to take it all in, but it's very overwhelming. Like, you have to really focus on what studying methods and stuff help you.
And we don't know what those methods are till we have to learn them.
Right.
Right. My daughter, my oldest daughter, is first-year college student this year, and she is struggling with a couple of classes that are lecture-based.
Mm-hmm.
The teacher talks for 90 minutes.
Yeah, that gets boring.
It does. I get bored.
Yeah,
right?
I watch webinars for work, and I'm just like,
So she's using some AI to take notes for her.
Yes.
And it's been really helpful for her to be able to compile all those notes while listening. So she's able to learn, listen, rather than trying to feverishly take notes for 90 minutes. That's taking the notes for her. She's able to listen and learn, and she feels so much more confident when she leaves because she's processing the information.
Yeah, and people just learn so differently. But it's hard to accommodate thousands of students.
It is. It is.
So.
And we try to meet with as many students as possible to have those individual conversations. But we also offer workshops where we'll say, okay, let's talk about all the note-taking strategies. Here are all the strategies. You pick one. And in that 45-minute workshop, we hope that students can walk away with the strategy they want to try. So we're offering weekly workshops to help students kind of build those skills up, but then we'll enhance that or support it with individual meetings afterwards.
Do you find, I feel like what we see sometimes, but I don't know your perspective, do you find that students not asking for academic help is like a reason that they fail or are not successful?
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, and I've had experience with students coming in and saying, I was nervous to ask for help. Some are proud, they don't, they continue to say, I can figure this out. I can do this on my own. I don't need the help.
Which it's fine to try, but if you reach a certain point and what you're doing is not working, you should come.
It's determining what that point is.
Yeah,
and
that's hard.
I tell every student they have a line. You have to draw your line where you're going to ask for help, but let's use facts to determine where that line is.
Yeah.
And if you have done poorly on the first 2 tests and you've tried it your way and it's not working, then let's figure out a new way. Because if you wait too long, it can get away from you. 15 weeks goes so fast.
It does, yeah. So I'm kind of going to get into SAP now. And the consequence of not asking is, unfortunately, the government has rules, right? They're funding your education. So they want to make sure that you're being successful. And the main rule of thumb is that I tell students is you want to stay a 2.0 or above. And I think a lot of people don't realize there's also a portion of that called pursuit of program. So if you're not passing at least 67% of what you're taking, you can still have an okay GPA. But if you're not succeeding and you keep repeating, we're looking at those as attempted credits. And if you're not meeting that 67%, the government will also say, okay, they're not progressing. Why are they not progressing? So that's when you get the email from us that's saying, hey, you're on a warning for financial aid, or you're not eligible for your state aid, or you're not eligible for your federal aid. And unfortunately, it's very easy to dig that hole, and it's very hard to get out of that hole.
Sure.
So that's where we work closely with your office, because there's some students that we look at and we're like, all right, if we talk to them, and some students do really well and something bad does happen, and you can see that drop off, but you see they're historically good students. So we're like, okay, we think they can repeat some courses and get back on track in one semester. But if we see that you haven't been asking for help and that you haven't been doing too great, we look and say, okay, can you do this in 2 semesters? And in some case, if you haven't been asking for help, we're like, you have a good reason for not doing well, but now you haven't asked for help for so long, we don't know that we can even help you in 2 semesters. We'll try. We'll do everything to try, but unfortunately with those laws, we have to follow them. So that's where it gets tough and gray and hard for us. But I think the main excuse we see when a student appeals their aid is, I didn't realize college was going to be this hard. But unfortunately, the government doesn't say that's a legitimate excuse, because it's not extenuating. Like, college is hard for everybody. They want to know that you had a very specific reason that doesn't happen often.
And that's the key part, right?
Yep.
Because many of the students that we work with that are in this situation where they've struggled a little bit and they may be on probation or have to appeal their aid, their reason is, I just didn't prioritize. I didn't go to class all the time.
Yep. Time management's a big one.
I was up late too often, and I missed that morning class, and I ended up failing. Or I didn't study enough because I was doing this or that. And those reasons are very valid and certainly things that we need to change, but they aren't the reasons that allow you to get your aid back.
Yep.
So that 2.0 is our goal too.
Yep.
That's our minimum. And I find so often when I talk to students in the summertime about you need to have at least a 2.0 GPA to keep everything going well, right? That stays on track to graduation, keeps your financial aid. Everything's going well if we're above a 2.0. And I get the face of, why would you be under a 2.0?
Yeah.
That seems ridiculous, because these students that are coming to Alfred State have been successful high school students. And in many cases, they've had 2.75, 3.0, 3.5 students in high school. They've been so successful that when they come to college and their routine is gone, their structure is gone, nobody's now telling them to come in and start school at 8 o'clock in the morning and leave school at 2:30. And you do all your homework during that time.
Or mom's not at home saying, did you do your math homework?
Exactly. Or get up on time in the morning and get to bed on time, right? I still, for my boys at home, I'm still turning the internet off at 10 o'clock for their devices so that they have to shut things down and start to go to sleep. All those things go away when they come to college. So it's important that they understand this transition is challenging. Becoming a college student and all the independence of that doesn't mean just do your laundry and wash your face and brush your teeth in the morning and eat properly, although those things are really important.
Yes.
But it also means that we're going to class, and we're getting all our work done on time, because 50% of the teachers on this campus don't accept late work, right? That's a college norm across the country.
Yeah.
That faculty don't accept late work. They don't allow you to make up a test if you miss it. They don't, there's so many realities that students don't understand.
Yeah, I think what woke me up in my undergrad, and it's a harsh reality, but it's like a professor told us, you need to blame yourself before you blame anybody else. Did I go to class? Did I study? Did I seek a tutor? You know, if that didn't work, did I seek additional help? Did I talk to my professor? You know, like, so if you fail the test, you need to look at yourself and say, what did I do? If you worked your butt off and you tried everything and you still failed, that can happen. But if you're consistently like not trying your best, you know, that to me is failing. Succeeding, you can still fail the test if you did everything you possibly could. That's still success because you tried.
Correct.
But if you're just sitting there doing nothing, that's not a path to success.
No, it's not. So I always have 4 or 5 suggestions for students, right? The bare minimum is to go to class and turn your stuff in on time, right? Students that do that will, in most cases, be successful.
That's like a C grade. That's like doing what you need to do.
Correct. That's, here, do these 2 things and you're at your 2.0. Generally, that's the way it works in your first year. It gets harder as you go.
Yep.
You have to do more than that as you go. But those 2 things get you close. Then, go to office hours. We have research on this campus that says that Alfred State students that meet with a professor during office hours is more successful than those that don't. Go to office hours. These faculty are giving hours of their time to help students.
They're here for you.
In many cases, they're sitting in their offices by themselves.
Yeah, wondering where everybody's at.
Wondering why people aren't coming to see them, right? Go see them. Go ask questions. How can I improve? I don't understand this topic. Can you explain it to me again? Can you give me an example of this? Can you give me sample problems that I can try to practice so I'm more ready for the test? Faculty are hopeful that students come in.
They want to see you succeed.
Absolutely. So go to office hours. Go see a tutor, right? We have 67 tutors hired currently. That's more than we've had in the last 5 years at this stage. So we have lots of tutor availability. Every day we have more than 100 hours of available tutoring.
It's a lot of hours.
Go sign up. Go sign up for a tutor. These tutors are available for free for you to work with them one-on-one. And then I'm an English guy. I graduated with an English degree. I think students should be working on polishing their writing more. So we have a writing center and a math lab that are open from 9 o'clock in the morning until 8 o'clock at night every day.
Yeah, writing says a lot about you. I think it determines your professionalism, how people perceive you if they've never met you. Like, we both worked for a long time, and I think we perceive an email better that's not full of typos and a lot better than anything else, because otherwise you're like, what's going on?
that email that I get from a student that has the subject line, hey.
Yeah.
And we can work a little bit better at clarifying our message.
I know emailing's kind of out of the way, but in the workforce, emailing's still very popular.
Still is.
And it's not texting.
That is not texting.
Do not text in an email.
Yep. And I will also say that because of how AI is so prevalent now and students have access to it, they're far better at it than I am in prompting it to get what they want. Faculty are also learning what it looks like.
And how to use it for student success,
So we want to be able to see how we can better our writing without using AI.
Yep.
We want to create good professionals, ready professionals to go into the workforce. And writing is part of every job, right? Whether you're writing clinical notes because you're a nurse, whether you're writing up a proposal because you're working at a business, you're drawing up plans as an architect, writing is part of every career path.
Right. And I just quick to say, Alfred State students should be proud of who they are. When I talk to, business owners I know, or like our nurses that go into the hospitals for their like practicals, these people want Alfred State students.
Oh, absolutely.
They are so proud when they, they're like, we want your kids to come. Like, you guys go far above and beyond anybody.
Well, there's a reason that 98% of our students are either working or continuing their education when they leave Alfred State, right? Because our students are ready when they
are
walk
ready.
in.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you that I'm not supposed to have favorites, right? But I have a favorite student athlete. When I was a basketball coach, I have a young man who was in construction supervision, and he was a very bright student, worked really hard. During the summertime, he got connected with a company down in the Maryland area, working on some summer projects. Going into his senior year, he already had a job offer from that company. He accepted around December-ish, and when he walked in, he was given 5 multi-million-dollar projects to manage.
Oh my God.
And he was ready because of what he did here. He was ready because of the hands-on experience that he got here. So it pays off.
It
now,
does.
He's a student that was over a 3.5 student. He was a really strong student, but he worked with a tutor every semester. He came in and saw me every month, talked to me about his plan for the month, talked to me about what he was prioritizing, so that he had a good plan. He felt like he had bounced the ideas off a couple people. I was one of those people. And it was an opportunity to make sure that he was investing his time in the right places.
Mm-hmm.
Did he still go out and have a good time? Absolutely. He was still a college
he
student.
still had fun.
He still acted like a knucklehead sometimes. But that was part of his success, was making sure that he could do everything. He could still make sure that he was getting his homework done, and he was doing extra reading, and he was understanding new processes and going and talking to business owners. He wanted to have as much information as possible when he went into the workforce.
Yeah, and I think that's a good note to end on, to wrap this up. And so I guess the last thing is just, what advice do you have to our first year students?
I would say twofold. One, as we've said, be willing to ask for help, right? Come in to college with the understanding that it's going to be hard in some aspect. It's going to challenge you in an aspect that you probably haven't considered or haven't tried before. Be willing to ask for help. And then secondly, understand that you have to track your own progress.
Yeah, you have to want to help yourself so we can help you.
Correct. So if you're struggling, if you know you've gotten a bad grade on a test, or if you know you're starting to slip behind in one class, or if you've had a bad semester, you need to track that progress, and you have to be willing to say, it's time for me to make an adjustment, right? Sometimes doing the same thing over and over and over does not mean that it's going to get better. We have to be willing to make adjustments. So ask for help and then be willing to change. If you're willing to do those things, Alfred State offers you more resources than most colleges to help you be successful. There's lots of fun things to do. There are lots of good people here. Trust that we are here to help you. We're not judging. We're not here to make you feel inferior or that you're not good enough. We're here to help you. Take advantage of it.
Yeah, and I just want to end on, I think I want everybody knows that we're human too. We are people. We have been in your shoes. We've had to struggle asking for help. And yeah, we're not going to judge you, and we're just regular old people, and just come have a chat with us. I mean, I'm stuck in my office all the time. Just come say hi.
Absolutely.
And
please.
We can have a chit chat. Maybe it'll lead to learning something.
That's absolutely right. And I oftentimes learn more from students than they learn from me. So
yeah.
I look forward to talking to you.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
It's a lot of fun. I look forward to coming back.
Great. Well, thanks everybody for listening in.
Have a great day, everybody.
Have a good day.